Welcome to all in financial services classes. Last class we have checked tax related aspects in relation to your lease contract or lease finance and the difference between hire purchase and lease. So today we will check one more difference, and don't worry, you can feel happy. Today we will check only one topic, one difference, and I'll not eat your head too much. Okay. So today we'll just check the difference between lease and borrowing or loan. Okay. So when we go for a lease finance, then what happens, and when we go for the borrowing or loan facility, then what will happen, and how and what different types of differences available. Okay. So easy, I hope so. Borrowing or loan you know very well, where we have to apply in a bank or in any financial institution for loan, financial support. Okay. And for that we have to fill the application, we have to provide some documents, and we have to even provide some collateral security also, against which your financial institutions used to give you the financial assistance. Okay. And then you have to keep on repaying it in terms of EMI, where EMI used to include your principal amount and some rate of interest. So that was your loan. So now check out the difference. Very first I have written here meaning. Lease meaning, if still you don't know, then I think you have to check 4-5 back classes. Okay, you should. So I'll just read for you. Lease is an agreement between two parties. Who are two party? Definitely not you and me. It's lessor and lessee. Okay, where one party allow the other party to use his or her asset to another party. That is your lease. And in case of borrowing and loan, just now I have told you, same thing here also. Loan is a borrowing funds from any financial institute by an individual or an organization. Okay. Now, in case of lease, whenever the contract takes place between lessor and lessee, from lessor, the right to use that leased equipment or asset pass to the lessee. That means lessee is going to get only the right to use that particular asset or equipment for which they have entered into the lease contract. But in case of borrowing, whoever is borrowing the money, whoever is the borrower, okay, that person will get the financial assistance from the bank or financial institution, and with the same financial assistance he can buy any asset and become the or get the ownership, okay, right of ownership over the purchased asset. So in case of lease, right to use the leased asset, but in case of borrowing, right of ownership on the purchased asset, okay, for the borrower. Now again the next difference, lease. In case of lease, okay, the asset whatever we are going to provide, that will be only your entity, okay, and it will be provided by the lessor, okay, and the entity will be using the asset, who is called as the lessee. Okay. So asset provider, that is your lessor, and the user of the asset, your lessee, these two parties. But in case of your loan, the entity which is providing the fund, okay, that can be your bank or financial institution, they will call as the lender, and who will get the financial support, okay, or who will obtain the fund, called as the borrower. So in short, in case of your lease, your two parties are lessor and lessee, and in case of your borrowing, two parties are your lender and borrower. Okay. Next, lease. In case of lease, we don't need to go for any down payment. Okay. There is not necessary that lessee has to do the down payment, and then only lessee will get the right to use that particular leased asset. Okay. Without down payment also, lessee can get the right to use it, until and unless no special things or no special clauses are written in your contract. But in case of borrowing, when we talk about the borrowing, it automatically understood that we have to bring, that is whoever is the borrower has to bring some amount of money in the form of down payment. Like just suppose if you want to buy the car, and for car you are taking the loan, the total 100% amount of your car bank will not give you as a loan. Okay, some 10 to 15% you have to give it from your own pocket, and remaining 80 to 85%, whatever the amount left, that will be provided by the bank. So that means in case of borrowing, borrower has to bring some money which is in the form of down payment, but in case of lease, no down payment is required from the lessee. Okay, next we have, in case of lease, we have seen earlier also that we have a one word known as a lease rental. Remember, lessee has to pay rent to the lessor because lessee is using the asset of lessor. Okay, and this rate of lease generally fixed in nature. Okay, rate of lease is generally fixed in nature, but in case of your borrowing, interest on loan can be fixed or floating also, however you people have agreed. Okay, so in lease, rate of lease fixed. In case of borrowing, rate of interest is your fixed or floating. Fine. And then we'll check out finally the last point of the day. In case of your lease, we don't have to bring any asset as a collateral. Okay, lessee is not needed to bring. Okay, no need to bring any asset as the collateral, because for which asset lessee and lessor has entered into the lease contract, that asset will only act as each and everything. That asset will only act as the collateral also, or that asset will only act as the reason of making that contract. But in case of borrowing, when you are taking the, or when you are applying for loan, when you want money from the financial institution which is not yours, okay, I am not talking here about your withdrawal loan. So in that case, whoever is a borrower has to bring collateral, and against that collateral, financial institution will disburse the loan. Okay, so I hope your differences are easy and clear. Just quick review: lease is an agreement between two parties. Loan is your borrowing funds from any financial institution. Lease gives only right to use, but borrowing can give right of ownership also. In your lease, you have a lessor and lessee. In borrowing, you have a lender and borrower. And in your lease, down payment not required, borrowing down payment required. Lease, rate of lease is fixed. Borrowing, rate of interest is fixed or floating. Lease, collateral asset not required, but in case of financial, in your borrowing, collateral security is required. So go for these differences and have a nice day. Thank you.